All right, we're doing a lane closure out here in Menifee. I got Raul and Tyler out here.
No.
Tyler's going to just tell us how he normally
Good morning.
accesses the watch book.
So I open up Site Docs, and under Resources, very close to the top, California Temporary Traffic Control Handbook. Then I go to the top section, View or Sign. And then I already know off the top of my head, I'm looking for page 32. And 31 actually is the one we're looking for. This matches basically our traffic control setup that we're working with. So for the legend on all these references, like the taper is L. So I would go down to the very end, which shows me the legend. And L shows me, I know that the street here is a 45 mile an hour street, so I go to the 45 mile an hour. Under L, it shows my taper needs to be 540 feet. So what we did to start is we had someone use a wheel roller and started at the beginning of the street where we started, and we wheel rolled 540 feet to where we end our taper. We set one cone at the end, one cone at the beginning, and we make a nice straight line of cones. The taper distance of spacing for cones, the spacing for all the signs, with all the different mile per hours for your different streets.
And what is the distance between each cone? Like 30 feet apart?
So for this street here, 45 miles an hour, the max taper spacing for each cone is 45 feet. So we just go and pace out 12 steps, which actually puts us maybe 25, 30 feet. And that's plenty good. 45 is the max.
No problem with your public inspector. Everything's,
Yeah, our public inspector was actually very happy with the spacing and the way the taper was nice and straight. He was very happy about that. This is, according to the watch manual, this is where I started our traffic control. Our signs here are our advanced warning signs. On a 45 mile an hour street, the minimum spacing is 350 feet, which we got roughly here. What I do on online is what I go and I do a little zoom in on Google Maps, and I use the footages that they give you on Google Maps to kind of space out. So I kind of just get a rough idea from there, from the very beginning all the way to this first sign, which is roughly 350 feet each sign. Here we're at our second sign, right lane closed ahead, which is roughly 350 feet from our first sign, and about 350 feet away from our last sign. This sign is interchangeable from right lane to left lane closed ahead for when we swap traffic to a different lane. So this is our last sign, 350 feet away from the previous sign. It's not our last sign, but the last before our taper, which is the merge lane. It's also interchangeable for when we swap lanes in traffic.
is there anybody that run up problems with the short signs? We're not renting any traffic control signs. We purchase it and it pays on in a few days. And yeah, in the future you have those kind of problems. We need to go to the closer vendor for traffic control in your area. Thank you.
So here we have a couple things where we start our taper and our start of the sidewalk closure. So this is the first intersection for the sidewalk closest to our working area. So we have one sidewalk closed sign here, and at the very furthest point, the next intersection of the sidewalk is probably about a half a mile down the road. We have another sign over there. Our spacing here on the cones, we do it a little differently. We just pace it out. And here what we did was we paced every 12 footsteps, which is roughly 35 to maybe 40 feet. And the max spacing on this road here is 45 feet. In our arrow board, between the beginning of taper towards the end, we're about roughly in the middle of our taper, so about 300 feet from the beginning. What I do is I have one guy start at the very beginning. I do my pacing out of 500 feet for this taper here. And what I do is I carry one cone with me, and I set my cone at the edge of the white line, the edge of the lane. And the other guy's at the beginning of the taper. And then, very similar to looking down the sights of a barrel, I line up each cone as the guy walks, and I tell him left or right, all the way down to the end, which ends up leaving a nice straight line. This is our arrow board. It is a rental, and it's here. It's roughly 200 feet prior to our actual working area. We're about dead center of our taper from beginning to end. But our lane close sign, that's roughly, maybe about 100 feet before our guys working. We're limited to space here because we do have this intersection. So it doesn't really allow us so much space, a buffer space is I think what they call it, from end of signs to our actual working space. But our city public works inspector is happy with it, so we're happy with it.
This is the setup on the WAT manual for protect our guys when we dig in at the side of the road.
And another reminder is everything I found here, it's on Site Docs as well, the exact same thing that's on the watch manual book that Raul has here.
All right, so that's our traffic control. And if you have any questions, just reach out to your general foreman or reach out to the safety team. But like Tyler had said, you go into Site Docs, and is it in resources?
It's under resources,
So,
and it's towards the top, maybe the fifth.
Alphabetically in there, so it's right there. It says it's one under California, right? So it's California Watch Book.
Correct.
So that puts you in alphabetically right up there, California Watch Book. And under Site Docs, under resources, go to that, and then you can go in. He said this lane closure, typically one for one lane, is on page 31. So that'll make it easy reference for you. Thank you, as always. Be safe, work smart, and let's get the job done.